feels. What is happening, y'all? What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another GROWABLY live stream coming at you live from a kind of overcast OHIO. So Sean M, my friend, good to have you today. All mixed up, 331, had to sign on with my 20-year-old screen name to be able to chat. Hello from Cleveland, Ohio. You are up north from me. Lonnie, I want to put that back in there. Hopefully you can stick with us for a little bit, but that's okay if the replay will be available as soon as this live stream ends, so you can have access to it. So sorry to hear about your father. Hope everything goes well. Hope everything goes well in his recovery too. So Jeff Bolden, my man, he is here and has got his coffee enabled. That's awesome, Jeff, because let me go ahead and show you if I can. There we go. I'm rocking mine as well. I've got the Tech Tribe mug going with some iced coffee. So welcome to another, man, it has been 1 year since we started these live streams. I cannot believe it's been a year. But yeah, Reef Dudes, hey, what's up? Glad to have you here. He's tuning in from Canada, so you are up north. So yeah, if you're just joining us, say what's up in the chat. Let me know that you are here and where you're tuning in from. Bill Boston is from the left coast. I'm landlocked here in Ohio, so I'm like dying for my vitamin C. Preston Baltoy, I hope Baltut. Man, I butcher people's names. I'm sorry. He is from Missouri, USA. So good to have you, fellow Midwester. Pat Mizio, greeting from hot and humid Florida. So thank you, Preston. I appreciate that. Yeah, Preston said, I feel you in the hot and humid, Pat. So it's a little chilly today. I went for my morning walk today, and it was kind of chilly. So Buto, so thank you. Thank you for correcting me. I appreciate that. So Sean Burke representing Vermont in the house. Glad to have you with us today. Lily's tuning in from Arkansas. I love it, man. Everybody's saying hello in the chat. Diana Giles, welcome. And Tariq Nazir turning in from London, from across the pond. Man, I love this. Just keep them coming fast and furious. Zero Limit Consulting from Denver, Colorado is in the house. Love it, love it, love it. Chris Hodgkiss tuning in from Birmingham, UK as well. We always get a strong contingent of UK. I love it. So, see, I messed up. I said Missouri and it's Mississippi. See what I mean? I mess up abbreviations, so we're all good. Born in Ohio, though, so he's technically a Midwester. So thank you, Preston, for correcting me. See, I was never good at geography, all that fun stuff. Mark Novak tuning in from Central Florida. Lots of Florida. All Bits Tech tuning in from South Florida. Danny Chapo tuning in from Nottingham, UK. See, I love it. Keep it rocking, folks. And if you're tuning in on the Tech Tribe YouTube channel, be sure to like and subscribe down below. You know how that goes. We're trying to get Nigel's, the Tech Tribe channel, rather, to 1,000 subscribers. So if you're tuning in over on LinkedIn or YouTube, wherever you happen to be, welcome to the 12th 1 year anniversary of these live streams. We started doing these live streams for the Tech Tribe in June of 2022. Man, I can't believe it's been a year already. That's just crazy. Giancarlo Mataza tuning in from New Jersey. The music has me fist bumping with the shades on. Like that? Takla Sawan turning in from Medellin. Awesome. Glad to have you here. yeah, it's crazy that this has been 12 months since we started these live streams. So yeah, everybody's loving the tunes, man. We've been doing Friday jam sessions on Friday for a while. Last couple weeks we've had them, and I just love the energy of my jam sessions. So if you're wondering where this is from, this is Epidemic Sound. So the whole playlist is on Epidemic Sound. So Attack said, good to be here. Chris said, my name used to be Moon, but change it to my stepdad's name. So you're still a Moon at heart, my friend. I'll take it. Glad to have you. Jose Hyundai representing Brooklyn, New York. Glad to have you on today's show. How many of you are excited about what we've got coming today? I am excited about this. We're taking a little bit of a detour from our normal GROWABLY live streams, by the way. Nigel and I had a chat a few weeks ago. We decided from this point forward, we're going to kind of change up the rhythm and routine of what these monthly live calls are, what they're all about. We feel, and I feel, that people could benefit from more training rather than just getting on here telling you about all the latest features of GROWABLY. Yeah, you guys can follow the YouTube channel from High Level, which is GROWABLY. But yes, if you're tuning in too, and this is your first time catching the live stream, let me know. Sean Berg tuning in from North Branch Tech Services. Glad to have you here, my friend. Now, I want to see too. I've been around with Nigel since the beginning of Tech Tribe, and I'm curious. Put in the comments below, wherever you happen to be tuning in from, and let me know how many years that you've been a Tech Tribe member. I want to know. How many years have you been a Tech Tribe member? And we've got some giveaways today, by the way. So those of you who are watching live get to benefit from some swag. We got some swag for you in this 12-month celebration. All Mixed Up 331 said first time watching anything GROWABLY related. So yes, Danny Chapo's been here since 2019. So awesome. Westway IT joined in December of 2020. Reef Dude said this is year one for him. Lonnie said about a year for her. Douglas Goglio, good to have you with us, my friend. 3 or 4 years now. All Mixed Up 331 said joined late last year. Chris Hodges, less than a year. Robin Grayson tuning in, joined in September 2020. Lots of 2020. So Mark Lemo, 2020. Mark Novak, good to have you here. 2 months. Albits Tech said less than a year. Sweet. Annika Williams, first time live viewer from Niagara Falls, been a member of Tribe since 2021. Sean Inman's about a year. So let's see, tackling 1 month or so. So awesome. Got some newcomers in here. Pam Birchfield, 1 month. Absolute Tech said first time watching. Giancarlo, year 0. He is 3 months in. Glad to have you here. As you can see, I'm an edutainer. We're going to have some fun today. Zero Limit Consulting, less than 1 year. Amazing community. Awesome. Thank you for being here. Lee Wood, awesome. Good to have you here, my friend. January of 2018. Paul Quintana, exactly 2 years. Nice. Ultra VPC, August 2022. Bill Boston, first time and just joined Tech Tribe about a month ago. So, yes. Welcome. We have some exciting stuff for you. Like I said, we were going to change gears here, and we're going to go in a different direction with these calls, but I want to let you know that we're going to be doing a lot more of this going forward. So Doy Shipman, a little over a year, best investment in business to date. Yes. Love to hear that. I'm going to screenshot that one for Nigel. He's always a fan, likes to know how people feel about the Tech Tribe. So thank you for the McLovin. Glad to have it. All right, so let's, without further ado, we got all of the pleasantries out of the way. If you're just joining us, say hello. Ulrich said, oh crap, he's 10 minutes late. That's okay. Welcome. That's why I hold off. Preston said he agreed. Best business investment yeah. And what I'm going to show you guys today, you guys and girls, is going to be something I think is going to benefit everybody. And I'm excited about kind of the direction we're taking. So here's our little sneak peek, by the way. We're going to get to the full build out of that here shortly. So what we're going to talk about today is the most common mistake, and I made it myself. I was an MSP for 10 years, ran a pure play MSP from 2004 to 2014, and this is a mistake that I made. So I'm going to talk from personal experience today. I'm not finger pointing, not throwing bombs at anybody, but I'm curious to know. I'm going to ask this polling question right now. Do you have a documented sales process in place right now? Yes or no? Drop that in the comments. I'm going to turn up the jams while we wait for these comments to roll in. Let me know, yes or no. Do you have a documented sales process in place? And that's okay if you say no, because I'm going to give you one today. But yes or no, do you have a documented sales process in place right now? Love it. Got some comments rolling in already. Yes. Let's go back up to the top here. Sean Burke said no. All mixed up. Absolutely not. It was all in my head for the longest time. Exactly. Preston said the same thing. It's saved in his head. So we're going to get this down on paper for you today. So let's see here. All mixed up. 331 said absolutely not. Robin said no. Ulrich, no. Lonnie says yes, and she created it. Awesome. So that's good. Bill Boston, yes. Sean Inman, no. Koskinen Services, no. That's okay. It's all right. We're going to get you one today. Giancarlo says yes. Joshua Chamness, I'm assuming that's you, my brother, said no. Reef Dude said started one a few weeks ago. It is a work in progress. Zero Limit Consulting says we'll do after this session. Yes, you will. You will have one in place. I have a basic flow chart, but not super detailed actions. We're going to help you with that today. Yes, but it's not documented. Let's see here. All Bits Tech Perfect Timing. He's working on this now, so I'm going to shortcut the process for you. Doy said it is a work in progress as well. Gabriella says, what's up? Glad to have you. Mark says yes, but it's generic and amateurish. We're going to help you. Like I said, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. I'm not here to sling mud at anybody because I was guilty of this. Didn't have it in place for probably the first 6 to 7 years of running my MSP. So do not feel bad, because you probably have all felt like this. We feel like we're doing things the hard way. Sales are hit and miss. We get referrals, we get word of mouth, we get all of that, but that is the hard way if you want to grow your business and have sustainability. We want to have something that is documented and repeatable. That is our goal today. So that is the challenge, having a documented, repeatable sales process. Something that instead of just winging it and hoping on a wing and a prayer that something sticks eventually, we're going to fix that today. And how many of you are getting unpredictable results with your sales right now? If you're like this, you felt like me, you felt like I was just dropping cash and time. I wasted thousands of dollars and probably millions of dollars in opportunities if I had to go back and look, because I didn't have this in place. How many of you feel like you have unpredictable results right now? Yes or no? Drop that in the comments. I'm going to turn up the jams real quick while we get some replies. Got my coffee going. I'm right with you, Robin. Sean, I'm right with you, man. Yep, unpredictable results. Yeah, it was frustrating. All Mixed Up 331 says, yep, same here. Like I said, don't feel bad. It's kind of a common thing. We're gonna fix that today. Mark said, yep, definitely. Chris says, definitely unpredictable. Rob said, yes, unpredictable. So what I'm gonna help you to do today is see that correlation. If you're like me and you have those unpredictable results, we don't have a system and a process in place for getting a lead all the way through a system. And that's a goal, is getting them through a system. When I finally did this, and I want to show you the exact system that I put in place. It's not going to be super elaborate. I guarantee every single person here can implement this, and better yet, you're actually going to watch me build this out in GROWABLY. We're going to get our hands dirty today. We're going to go as far as we can today and as long as we can to help you build this out. So you can watch repeat. As soon as this live stream's done, I'm going to timestamp this recording. You can go back and watch. So, yep, Cody said same thing. Lonnie's got to go. Everybody wish Lonnie good luck helping her with her dad. But yeah, she said she'll definitely be watching the replay. So this is my goal, is to take you where I was, unpredictable results, to something that is predictable. And like I said, we're going to actually build this out in GROWABLY here in a minute. But before we do, I'm going to give you a sneak peek. Let me switch screens here. There's the sneak peek of what we're going to be building. That's what we're going to be building out. But before we do, I promised you that we were going to have some giveaways. The first person to post in the comments t-shirt gets a free t-shirt. Ready, set, go. I'm going to keep you on your toes today. Sean Inman, winner, chicken dinner. That was the first reply to come in. Sweet. Hang out. We're going to do it again. See, everybody was in there. Lori, Zero Limit, Preston, All Mixed Up. Everybody's in there. Angela Birchfield. So, Danny, Takla. So, everybody. Mark. Mark said, dang. Yep. So, all right. So, we're going to keep you on your toes. So, that is... We're going to be doing more. So, Sean Inman wins the first t-shirt. Lee said he missed the hyphen. See, Jeff looked away for a second and missed his chance for a free Tech Tribe t-shirt. Koskinen's IT service, he got one last time. It was super fun. So, all right. So, Sean Inman's going to be our first winner chicken dinner. So, you got to pay attention, got to hang out. We're going to be doing more of these. That's my goal, is to keep you on the live stream as much as possible so that you can learn and ask questions while we're here. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. If you have a question as we go about and I break down this sales process, type the letter Q : and your question in the chat. That way I can go ahead and flag this so that I can make sure that we get all of the questions answered. It just makes it easier for me to look up on the screen and find questions. So, without further ado, like I said, if you have questions, put those in the chat, please. I'm here to answer any questions as we bust this down and go through our sales process. So this is the sales process we're going to break down. Let me go full screen so that I can walk through this. What I figured we would do is walk through this together, and then what I'm going to do is switch over to GROWABLY and show you exactly how to build this out inside your GROWABLY. If you're using GROWABLY, put that in the chat too. If you started a sales process in there, you're just trying to figure it out, put that in the chat. So let's go ahead and rip off the Band-Aid and get going here. Buckle your chin straps. We've got a lot to cover right now. But as you can see, by the way, you folks are going to get a copy of this in a PDF form. As soon as this stream ends, I'm going to go over to the Tech Tribe and post this up so that you have this and you can follow along with what I'm going to show you inside of GROWABLY. So I know that's probably going to be a common question. Can I get my hands on this? As soon as the live stream ends, you're going to get a copy of this over in the Tech Tribe forums. So basically the same post we used to announce this is what we're going to do. All right, let's go ahead and go through. And like I said, if you have questions as we walk through this, please let me know. Type in the letter Q : and your question in the chat, and I will answer any questions. So for me, and again, this is the exact sales process that I implemented, and I was using a slightly changed version of this all the way up till the time I sold my MSP in 2014. So Diana's using GROWABLY, but using it, but not well yet, except for email and social posts. Okay, so good. So I always like to see who's actually gotten, dug in there and got things started with GROWABLY. So the first thing that we have is a lead comes in. So if a lead comes in, it doesn't matter where it's at, what lead it is, whether that's email. And again, I'm going to show you how to capture that. The first thing we need to do is get that lead into our CRM. So that is, the very first thing. And if we can automate that, automation is going to be your friend. And that is what GROWABLY is. Absolutely free. You folks have a full-fledged CRM to be able to use with your Tech Tribe membership. So there shouldn't be any reason why we can't get those leads automated right into GROWABLY. And I'm going to show you, if you've used GROWABLY and created forms before, that's what we're going to do. We're going to show you how to create a sample form inside of GROWABLY. Step number 3 is a qualification call is scheduled. So if someone fills out a form on your website, wants more information, wants an assessment or an audit, whatever you folks are calling it. By the way, put in there what you folks call that. I mean, some people call it an audit. Some people call it a network assessment. I'm curious to see, and again, I've been out of the game, the day-to-day game in the MSP space for a little while. But when you have a client that reaches out for your services, what do you generally call that next step in that qualifying process? Are they booking a discovery meeting, an assessment? Just let me know what that is. Always curious. Preston said it depends on the day. Okay. But yes, I called it, for me, it was a network audit. That's what we ended up doing. But again, first things first was the qualification call. Yeah, is that not the right fit call first? Yes, that's what this is part of the qualification process. So Reef Dude says quoting, onboarding, assessment. Okay, good. So you guys have that general thing right there. So this is going to kind of make sense to you. So when a lead goes into the CRM system, the first thing I'm going to do is set up a qualification call, where we get on the phone and I'm going to walk through my qualification process. For me, we wanted more than 10 computers, and that's what everybody is. Generally, when I first started out, we were taking anybody and everybody, didn't matter what industry. But when I finally sold in 2014, we were looking primarily for law firms and property management companies. So we had a qualification process that was somebody would reach out. We wouldn't necessarily reject them if they weren't in those industries, but we were looking specifically for those industries because those are what we knew well, and those are what we were able to service well. So that's what we would do. We would go through that qualification process. And again, it can be detailed, it can be simple, but it would be either yes or no. Either they're qualified or they're not qualified. So if it was a no, we would archive the lead in the CRM and set to not qualified. If they were qualified, and in talking to them on the phone, we felt like that next step was necessary and they were probably going to be a good fit, then we would set that appointment for the discovery meeting. And it sounds like most of you probably do discovery meetings. How many of you actually do discovery meetings, either in person or on Zoom, prior to getting those audits? Or if somebody asks for an audit, will you go straight out and do it? Always curious. I kind of skip that process that qualification process, and if somebody says, hey, we need your help, come out tomorrow and, meet with us, see what we got, what our problems are, and I'd run right out. But again, the qualification process, we only have so much time as MSPs in running our businesses. So that is where an important qualification process came into play. And that's what we would do. Once we did that, we would set that appointment, and then we would go to, and again, this is the part right here. This part that I'm going to show you with step number 6, 7, 8, and 9 can be automated inside of GROWABLY. And that is what we were missing that for a while. We were trying to do it on, inside of ConnectWise at the time. So he did one the other day in person in order to have an idea of what to quote them. Reef Dude said, Diana said, it depends. So good. I mean, again, this should help you, get through a little bit more of the process-driven stuff. And again, we're going to automate what we can so that, again, that consistent process so that we get a predictable result. That is our goal with this sales process. So steps number 6, 7, and 8, immediately when we would book the appointment, you send out an email confirmation, and we had some things in that email confirmation. Toward the end, I would actually give them a little bit of homework to do ahead of time. But again, this is where the qualification process came into play. The next step, I would send an introduction package via FedEx. Anybody send, I don't know if you were in the Robin Robbins world, at which I was at the time. We called it a shock and awe box, which I went to just introduction package. Do any of you send an introduction package or shock and awe box or whatever you want to call it? Do you send that right now to a qualified prospect ahead of a meeting with them? Yes or no? Drop that in the comments. I didn't do this for a long time. And again, when I put this process in place and we actually set, I would pre-package these introduction packages. I would usually have about 6 or 7 of them ready to go. That way they can go right out in next day mail, which for us here in the States was FedEx, but I wanted it to go out next day. And that was important because, again, we're judged on the how speedy we are. And people are going to judge you based upon that in the marketing and sales process as well. Westway IT said I might take a box with me to a meeting and give it to them then. So I would recommend sending this out ahead of time. And, I'll tell you why. It changed the complexion of the entire sales process for me when we started doing this. Basically, and again, the things that are available now, I mean, you can get print on demand, small orders of customized boxes with your logo and colors and all of that stuff, which wasn't available when I was doing this. So I was going to Uline, getting some boxes, putting things in there, my newsletter, the book that I wrote, some other tchotchkes like pens and stickers and that kind of stuff. I made a comic book, so I would put that comic book in there. And on top of that, I would put a letter, which was basically the exact same thing that I put in the email confirmation. So basically, when I knew somebody was qualified, I would send that out ahead of time, and I would ask them to make sure that they looked through that prior to our meeting. Yes, you could see it as a bribe. But it changed the whole complexion of the initial discovery meetings that I had, because people are automatically you are set yourself out apart from everybody else, because no MSPs were doing that in my market at the time, and especially for attorneys, we're super impressed with that. And I loved it when we would walk into that meeting and you would see that on the desk or in the conference room, you would see that box sitting on the desk. And you would know that they've gone through that. You would know that they've taken the effort to go through that. So the goal with that box was just to educate them on what it is we do, all about us, and to set ourselves up as professionals. And that went a long way, just having that introduction box go out, and the fact that it came FedEx, they got it the next day. And again, I started putting some homework in there, and I would actually send that with the confirmation email. And it was just kind of a short survey where I would ask them, the different points. I had the different stages of IT support, and I would have them rate, whether or not they have that, yes or no, and then I would ask them to give themselves a grade. And again, that was how we got more complex as we went along. But the first thing that I did, sending that introduction package, was huge. It just changed the whole complexion of that sales conversation. So if that's something that you want to look into, we might do a future live stream on that, how to create an introduction package to send out. And again, you have so many resources inside the Tech Tribe to be able to use, especially the cybersecurity booklet. If you've printed that can go in that introduction package. So anything that you can do to set yourself up as the de facto standard of IT services, that sets you up. Everybody else is doing just trifold brochure, business card, and they're dropping that stuff off. It's unimpressive. You go into a stack, people throw it in the garbage, but nobody's going to throw an entire box full of stuff away. But that one thing right there changed the process. Reef Dude says, yes, I like that. All Mixed Up says, I send it afterwards as a thank you, haven't thought about it doing beforehand. Yeah, definitely might want to think about doing that beforehand, because like I said, it just changed the entire complexion of that conversation when you go in. It automatically puts you in control of the conversation too. And what you'll find is people may ask you some things about some of the things that were in the box. They may have questions, okay, based upon I saw this in your book, or I saw this in one of the newsletters that you had in that box. And they'll ask you, it automatically spurs conversation. And that's what we're trying to do, is make that conversation less about sales, more about relationship building, because we haven't even got into the sales process really in a formal way. This is all about just getting started, determining whether you want to work with them and whether they want to work with you. And that introduction box, like I said, it was definitely, I think I'm going to put that on our to-do list. I think Nigel and I might do a future live stream. We might do something together with that because it changed the complexity of the sales process. Then the other thing that we added into that, so we would send out the introduction package. I would do an email confirmation the day before our appointment. And then the other thing that I started to do to reduce no-shows was having an admin call and do a confirmation call the day of. And all I simply had them do was just confirm, say, yes, Andrew's on his way. He's going to be there at 2 o'clock. But the other thing that helped me to do, by the way, it helped me to determine whether or not everybody who's going to be involved in that decision-making process is actually going to be in that meeting. That is super important. You want to make sure that everybody that's going to be involved in that decision-making process or have some input is in that meeting. And again, you may want to add this on later on. That's okay. You may not have an admin. You may not feel like you can do that right now, but that's okay. But this was, again, the qualification process, making sure all the right people are there so that you don't get the, hey, I got to talk to my boss. I got to talk to the CEO. I got to talk to so-and-so. Make sure that they're all in the meeting. But again, just the simple sales process. And again, you may not be as sophisticated with steps 7, 8, and 9 yet. But I want you to think about that, and we're going to show you how to automate those things inside of GROWABLY so that it automatically triggers these tasks and emails inside of GROWABLY. Yeah, it's definitely a VA task. You could easily have a VA do that for sure. But yes, so basically what would happen there is the next part of the process down. So the new lead comes in, we schedule the appointment. Now we go in for the discovery meeting. So this is the point where we would conduct this discovery meeting. And my whole goal with conducting this discovery meeting was to figure out whether or not I needed to go to the next step. And this was all things that I found out in that discovery meeting. How many of you have done an audit, put together a gigantic, proposal, and you've done the audit and then you send it over to them and crickets? You get nothing out of there. How many of you have done that? I've done that way too many times to count. That I've gone ahead, done the audit before going through the whole discovery process. How many of you have done that? Put that in the comments. I'm going to take a quick drink here. Preston said he's done that. And again, that's what we're trying to eliminate is people ghosting you. And going through, because I mean, quite frankly, I would make these proposals, have them send them over to FedEx and have them, you know, coil bound and all this good fun stuff. And spend money doing that. Yeah, all mixed up. Said he's got one right now that's gone radio silent. Westway IT said, yep, done that. Reef Dudes, yep, done that. So this is what we want to eliminate in the process. By having a structured process, our goal is to eliminate those types of things. So let me get through all of the discovery, and then I'm going to show you a few of the resources that you have access to inside the tribe to help you with the sales process, the actual conducting of it. So what I want to do is, like I said, we would definitely want to get to the building part of this. So this isn't kind of it's not necessarily a sales training this time around, but I want to show you how to automate and get a process set up inside of GROWABLY. So yeah, All Bits Tech said, yep, definitely done that. So we've all been there, and I've been there, done that, done all of those things. So again, we need them to make a decision at this point. And essentially, like I said, what I would do in that process, we would send out that homework I was telling you about, and that's what I would cover in that discovery meeting. I would go through all of the things that they sent me, whether or not they have yes or no, and giving themselves a grade, and that was the basis of our discussion. And then my quote-unquote sales pitch at the end of that for the audit was, okay, so we've got some things. Our goal is to get you to A and B in grades for all of those areas. So we want yes to everything, and a grade of A or B. No CDs or Fs in there. Do you want my help? That was my sales pitch. And that was my sales pitch for the audit. So either somebody says, yes, I would like your help doing that. So if it was a yes, then I would go into scheduling the audit, and I would do that right there. If the prospect says, no, I don't really want your help with that, then I would add them to my drip campaigns, which was my monthly newsletter, or just in an email sequence just to stay in touch with them. But that's what I would do right there. And then I would say, okay, the next step is we go ahead and we come in and we, look through and document everything. We would talk to your staff and actually go through an audit. And I would do that right there on my tablet while I was sitting there. I have time, next week at, next Thursday at 2:00, or the week after Monday at 4:00, whatever. And I would schedule that appointment for the audit right there. So that's what we would do. How many of you do free or paid audits? Put that in the comments. I'm curious to see who's doing free audits, network assessment, whatever you're calling it. How many of you do that for free, and how many of you charge for that? Put that in the comments. Do you do free or paid? Basic is free in the sales process. Yeah. Yeah, lots of folks doing it free. So that's okay. I started out doing free. If you're doing free, I'm not here to change that today. Yeah, Lisa, not worth the time, slows down the sales process. So I think Lee's got a little bit more of an advanced sales process as well. But yes, that was what I always did. I did the free assessments, for a long time, for probably the first 8 years of running my MSP. I did free assessments. But then we switched to a different model. But again, I think we'll cover that in a future one, because I'll walk you through just some of the things. I'm trying to think if we released that in the tribe or not. I kind of don't think we have. I can't remember whether we did or not. I know we were going to do it with another campaign, but we'll make sure you get that, because I'll give away, basically it was a grading sheet. I would have them do that homework, get to that point in that process, and then we would do the network audit. But that's what, like I said, I schedule that right there, and then we would go on to step number 13, which was conducting the actual audit. So again, we schedule that appointment right there while we're sitting in that meeting, so that you don't have that ghosting effect. Chris said, yep, got to be careful what you give as free as you set a precedent. Yeah, that's, like I said, that's why we switched from free to paid toward the end. The last couple of years we did paid. But a couple things I'm going to, on that sales process too, over here, I put in a little box here. In order to maximize your success, always book the next meeting prior to leaving the meeting you're in, basically. For instance, if the prospect agrees to a network audit, schedule that before leaving the discovery meeting. Same can be said for the presentation of findings, which we're going to do next. It's best to schedule this prior to leaving the site after performing the network audit. One other point of note, never send your findings report by email. Always present it in person. How many of you have ever sent a prospect a proposal or a network, discovery of findings via email? How many of you done that? And be honest. Be honest. I've done it. No takers on that one. Preston said, yep, he's done it. I know I know Preston's not the only one. In 10 years of running my MSP, yeah, it's the same thing. Chris said, yep, we've done it. Pat says reluctantly. Mark said yes. All Bits Tech says yes. Now, the next question I have for you, email to the ones that are going to be remote only. The next question I have for you is those of you who answered yes, did you end up winning that customer? What was your success rate? So out of those of you who have done that, do you just send that over without doing a presentation? And then what was your success rate? Did you end up closing that business? Chris, good for you, man. Yeah. Best way said not great. Some closed, some not. So it's about 50-50. Those of you who have done that. Yep, more yes than no. Lee said, yep, it's 50-50. Doy said mixed results. Pat, awesome. You did close it. Yeah, nice. 1 in 3. Yeah, so our success rate dramatically goes down if we're not there to present our findings of our assessments or audits, whatever you call that. And that's what I found. Most of the folks who would ask for that, and again, the more sophisticated you get in putting this process together, the easier it is to actually require that in your sales process. Require an in-person meeting, or at minimum, a meeting like this where you can present via, Zoom or Teams, whatever it is. but I would never send an email over and expect them to decipher what it means and whether or not it's actually of value. We know that IT and tech is very subjective. Most customers don't really understand most of it. All they're going to do every single time, even in in-person presentations, if you lay out a proposal, people go straight to the back page, and what do? They look for the price, and you basically have lost your audience at that point. Your presentation pretty much is tanked at that point. They've already decided yes or no. So what we want to do is implement a process where that keeps you in control of that process. So after that network audit, we would conduct that network audit. I would work on preparing, in step number 14, I would prepare that report. And then again, I would schedule that presentation meeting, which again, I've done that whenever I've gone in for the network audit. So after getting done with the audit, after talking with their staff, determining a lot of things, I like to determine whether or not I even want to move forward with a customer. We determine that, again, towards the end. The pickier we get, the more sophisticated our sales process. I may not even go to the next step of doing the whole dog and pony show. There have been some customers I'm like, I'm not sure we would be a good fit, and I call it a day at that point. But most of them I've kind of pre-qualified through that process prior to that. So I would have that initial assessment presentation meeting scheduled. I would actually conduct that meeting. And again, here's where I need them to make a decision. Either they're going to move forward with us, yes or no. If they say no, I'm going to put them on my drip campaign. If they say yes, this was another important change that I made the last 2 years of, especially when we got this implemented and put in place, a signed letter of intent. Does anybody know what that is? A letter of intent? Put in yes or no, or do you do a letter of intent right now? I'm curious to see. I didn't do this for a long time, and when I started doing this, it was actually pretty cool. My ghost factor went down to 0. I didn't have anybody ghosting me. I didn't have to worry about going all the way through that process, waiting for them to say yes or no. I would get a yes or no out of that meeting. So how many of you know what a letter of intent is or have used one? Yes or no? Reef dudes, nice. No letter of intent, but we do a deposit before we schedule the onboarding. I get quotes signed off. Is that the same? Yep, that's essentially the same thing. That says no. Yep, just a signed proposal. Good. So, most folks don't do it. Here in the States, by the way, the university systems, this is one of the things that, we're familiar with this here in the States. If an athlete signs a letter of intent to go to college and play sports for a particular school, all that's doing is say, yes, I want to go ahead and move forward with you. So Mark said, yes, just use a signed agreement. So when I started doing this, it did a couple things, the letter of intent. Basically, rather than going through the whole thing of having the MSA and the whole service agreement there, because chances are people are going to have to look through that and it may take time. A lot of people may not want to sign the entire MSA, the whole agreement right there on the spot. It may be that they need to discuss that, go through budget, do all of those things, all of the legwork. And especially with attorneys that we found, even if everybody's in the room, most of them want to go through the legal stuff. They're attorneys. Most of them want to go through the fine print and do all of that, which held up the process. So when I did a letter of intent, all that basically is you want to move forward with us, you agree to the things that we've covered in our discovery of findings, and you agree to the proposed cost of X. That was my signed letter of intent. Very simple, but what it allowed me to do is get a commitment right there and there. That they are signed, and that also tells me they're not going to move forward and look at shopping elsewhere. So when I started doing that, that really, like I said, our ghost factor went down to 0. Because if they hem-haw around with me and didn't want to sign a letter of intent, chances are they're not going to sign an agreement. They're not going to sign a full proposal or MSA or whatever you're calling it. Some attorneys are also not keen on doing a network assessment prior to an MSA or other type of agreement being signed. I think it depends. I mean, most of them, I had a waiver that we would have them sign for the network audit to do those things, to do our initial assessment. But again, when I changed and we added that in there, we had that piece of the step number 18. It allowed us to go to that onboarding, which for me in the onboarding process was getting the MSA ready, getting the whole contract ready, getting the deposit, and getting payment. Because for me, we would have our customers digitally sign our agreements, and then the last page of that digital agreement, we got credit card and ACH. We got both, because if one didn't run, the other one would go through. But we primarily had everybody on ACH. If their ACH didn't pull, we would pull off of a credit card. That way we made sure we got paid on time. But again, that's a future process. But that was it in a nutshell. That was my onboarding process. We would go through accounting, and then it would go to technical onboarding, which is getting everything ready, doing the rollout on site, all of that good fun stuff. Let me know if you have any questions on this so far. And like I said, we're going to switch over. First, I'm going to show you a couple resources that may help you along in the sales process. And then we're going to switch to the actual building this out in GROWABLY. If those of you who want to hang around want to do that. But yeah, let me know. Let me know if you have any questions on that sales process. And again, everybody, if you're just joining us, you're going to get a PDF copy of that. We're going to be posting that over in the Tech Tribe as soon as today's broadcast ends. But I want to take any questions prior to that before we move on. Is that a Fender? But yeah, that's actually a good question, Sean. That is actually a COVID project. It actually doesn't even work. It was my first attempt at being a luthier or a guitar builder. But I wanted to keep it. My son and I did that as a project right as COVID kicked off. So it's a mahogany body, and he wanted to do that project. So we got a bunch of the pieces, and then we attempted to pull all that together. Unfortunately, it didn't go super well. But anyway, I digress. I keep that as a memento. My son's moved on now. So Preston said, yes, he is good. Would the assessment part make the jump from being in GROWABLY into being a job or a ticket in a PSA? Yes. That's what ours basically was at that point. It would go into a PSA to do the accounting and set up the agreements. For us, it was ConnectWise. So we would go in, set up the agreement in ConnectWise, what's covered, which agreement it was, set up users, do all of that stuff. But yes, that was part of the onboarding process. That was in step 19. That's when it would go from GROWABLY into your PSA at that point. And again, in the original days, we were trying to piecemeal this together in ConnectWise. But again, you have a absolutely free CRM tool, by the way, too. All right, we're going to see who's actually still paying attention. First person to put in the comments, T-shirt gets a free T-shirt. We're going to give it away now. The first one I see in the comments. Keep you paying attention. Boom, they all come in at the same time. All mixed up 331 is the first one that I see in there, so lots of folks. See, I gotta keep you watching. Sorry, Lori from... Well, thank you all for still paying attention, though. But I'll have to reach out to all mixed up 331. Got to be a capital T.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Okay. Yeah, Preston. So Apparently I wasn't live. He's got a little bit of lag on his end, so stay tuned. We'll be giving some more away. As I said, we just keep you on live. So those of you watching this on the replay, I'm sorry. You'll have to watch live next month when we do the next one. All right, now we're going to get into the fun stuff. So if there are not any questions, what I want to do is go over into, let's go back into my slides real quick so I can show you some things inside of some resources. I figured you tech folks would do. I'm adding a t-shirt to a text expander. Gives them a few extra seconds. All right, so I'm going to flip over and I'm going to show you a few resources that you have access to, and then we're going to get into GROWABLY. So if you're concerned with how to get the leads in the first place, how to create a lead magnet, how many of you have taken the 30-day MSP growth map training that's inside the tribe? But you give access to the entire... I show you how to come up with how to get the leads in the first place to get them into your sales process. So that's one resource that you have access to. See, what's the other one? Go here. The perfect sales script. That's where I do the qualifying. So when I'm on those discovery meetings, again, in the workbook of the growth map, there's an exact how to script and document those onboarding calls or discovery meeting, so that you go through there and you make sure that everybody is on the same page before you get to the next part. You've got common objections. The common objections that I used to get, and I still hear others have common objections, that is in the growth map training. We'll switch that. So I gave that away. We'll be doing another one here shortly. All right, so let's go back into... Yeah, let's go build it together. So Diana said she's got to run. Preston said, yeah. So I got a sneak peek. All right, now let's go build it together. I'm going to switch over to GROWABLY, get that running here. All right, so now we're inside GROWABLY. So what I'm going to be switching back and forth between our roadmap, our process, and creating it in GROWABLY. So the first thing that we have here is input the lead into a CRM. How many of you have set up a form inside of GROWABLY to capture either a lead magnet or a newsletter form? How many of you have set up forms inside of GROWABLY? Put that in the comments, yes or no, that you've created a form. And what I'm going to do while I'm waiting for yes or no, I'm going to show you where to go to do that. So inside of Sites, there is a button here called Forms, and there is a Forms Builder. So I'm going to go ahead and check the comments here. All Mixed Up says no, I haven't. Westway says I've built a couple landing pages, lead magnets. Preston says no. Pat's done a newsletter sign-up form, so yeah, So if you weren't aware, you have a form builder that you can embed right on your website. You don't have to have the GROWABLY website. If you have a WordPress website, you can go in and set up forms inside of GROWABLY for you to use on your site. So Reef Dude says forms is what I've utilized most in GROWABLY. The Tech Leader Network says nope, this is what I'm here for. Okay, awesome. So you go to, like I said, you go to Sites, and then under Forms, you have Form Builder. And we've created a couple in here. Here's a lead intake form. So we actually covered this. I think it was in last month's or the month before. But you can see you have the ability to create some pretty sophisticated forms inside of GROWABLY. So this for me was, we talked about internal forms that came over from an Infusionsoft land, and we covered this on last month's GROWABLY call. But this is a great way to capture and do that qualifying inside of GROWABLY. So here we had the company size, website. You see, we started building out that qualifying procedure right was inside of GROWABLY. But if you're just getting started, you haven't got that sophisticated yet, that is okay. So let me go back to our forms builder. And then just a sample contact us. So as you can see, it's just drag and drop. There's your forms builder. And then when I'm done creating my form, I would go to integrate form. And you've got a number of ways. I can make it a pop-up if I have it embedded. Basically, you can choose all of your options here. And then you can copy the embed code. And that gets clipped to your clipboard down here, if you can see that. Close that. Yeah, see, it says it's copied to clipboard. So once you're done, you decide how you want that box to appear. And then copy your link if you just want to send a link to the form to somebody. But if you want to embed it in your WordPress site, you definitely, absolutely could do that. So then all you would click is done. So that's your contact form. Very simple form. But that's how we master the first part of this. We want to be able to capture a lead and have it automatically go into GROWABLY. So if you're using forms in someplace else, definitely come over here, create the forms in GROWABLY, because anybody who fills that form out automatically goes into your contacts. And then you can kick off the automations, which is what we want. So that is step number one. Any questions on forms or how to get the lead into GROWABLY in the first place? Happy to answer any questions there. So let's cover that first. Are there any questions on how to do forms? So the Tech Leader Network, again, pretty simple. Go to Sites, Forms, and build yourself a new form. Yeah, Preston says, yes, he's changing his website form now. Again, that saves you a step. And again, they go straight into GROWABLY for you. And there's some really cool things that you can do, and you can set up unlimited numbers of forms. So let me go back here, because I think one of the things we did with like this lead intake form. Yeah, so let's just say the lead intake form. So what I'm going to do is show you some of the automations that we can set up using this form here. So either an internal staff could do that as well. They could pull up that form. If somebody calls on the phone, they could pull up the form, type that in the form, and it goes straight into GROWABLY. So I used to use internal forms, or just forms in general, and we would have them on kind of a internal, an intranet part of our site. So anybody answering the phones or a VA could easily do this. They pull up the form, enter that contact record inside your CRM. In this case, it's GROWABLY. It goes straight into your CRM. No additional work. It's done. So that's step number one. They go automatically in there. So the next part of the process is the qualification call is scheduled. So rather than us doing this manually, we would get that scheduling set up. So again, we're going to use this form as our for instance. So we create the form, that's number one, capture the leads. Then what we can do is when somebody fills out this form, we can have it kick off some automations. So inside of automations, let's turn off our dark mode. So you actually can see that. Let's just go into inside of here, sample workflow. So this is a test record. So what we want to do is when somebody fills out that input, they fill out that form, we want to get a qualification call scheduled with them. And we can do that inside of automations. But one of the things I want to do is automate the process of getting them on my calendar. So how many of you use Calendly or Bookings or some other calendaring solution? What are you using for calendaring right now? Let's talk about that, for instance, right now. I'm curious to see how many you use, because if you're not using GROWABLY calendars, I'll jump over there and show you how to create a GROWABLY calendar so somebody can book time straight on your calendar. our goal with the sales process to automate as much as possible and make the technology work for you. Let's see here. Preston says he's using TimeZest. Allbits Tech is using Bookings. Pat is using Calendly. Let's see here. Joshua's using Bookings. Westway's using TimeZest. Have used Bookings before. Pam Birchfield has Acuity. Okay. So let me go back over there too, just so I can show you. Actually, let's go full screen second. So what I want to do is show you how to create a calendar. You have unlimited calendars, by the way, inside of GROWABLY as well. A lot of people don't even know that functionality. I moved all of my calendars from Calendly over into GROWABLY or High Level. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and show you how to set that up first. Go into Calendars. And then Calendar Settings. And here, and like I said, you can create as many calendars as you want. So you could create this calendar. And again, you've got multiple ways of creating that calendar. So I just want a simple calendar. And we're going to call this Discovery. So Discovery Meeting, we'll just call that. And again, you can get super fancy, add a logo, all that good fun stuff. You can make what widget type it is. Your meeting location, you can put Zoom, Teams, whatever. By the way, you can integrate Zoom into High Level or GROWABLY. And it will sync with Office 365, by the way. So again, just for the test of this, I'm going to go ahead and hit Save and Continue. All right, so we got to give it a name. So let's just call this Discovery. So let's just call that Discovery Meeting. Looks like we already have that here. We're going to call this Discovery Call. Come on. Something's not liking me today. So Discovery Call. All right. Let's just leave the spelling. Then just say, hey, save and continue. You can put in your booking slots, minimum schedule notice. So, and again, you can have specific times, specific days of the week where you do discovery calls with people. So again, this is just to get somebody to book a discovery call on your calendar and automate this part of the process to get a call scheduled. If you want to do this manually, you can. But if you have bookings or team or Acuity or any of the other ones, TimeZest, you may have to use Zapier or something like that in order to have it match up or create an appointment inside your calendar. Whatever you want to use to schedule the calendar, totally fine. But again, just to save you some money and some hassle, it's baked right into GROWABLY for you. Westway IT says, I'm guessing we could make it work with Teams via webhook to Power Automate to create a Teams meeting and then email the eating. Yeah, you could easily do that. The Zapier integration is called Lead Connector. So look for Lead Connector. It won't be called GROWABLY. That is High Level's white label Zapier automation. But yes, Preston, thanks for hanging out with us. He's got a discovery call in 20 minutes. Awesome. All right. So again, if you've created calendars on those other platforms, you know how to create a calendar. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit complete here. We've created a discovery meeting calendar. So again, our goal here is to get them to automate that part of the process so we can have that meeting, and then we determine whether or not they're qualified. And again, if they're qualified, then we would move to the next step, which if I'm doing a qualification call with them, remember down here, and again, you'll have access to this. Let me go full screen so you can maybe see that. Important keys to success: book your next meeting while you're on the first meeting. So if you're on a discovery call with someone, you determine they're qualified and they agree to have that discovery meeting in person, then we can go ahead and kick off those steps here. So some people do their qualification calls, some people skip that. But I recommend having the qualification call, getting on a phone call with them, asking them some preliminary questions to determine budget, whether or not, there might be a good fit, industry, that type of thing. Then I would move into the next part of the process. If I determine, yes, they qualify and they say yes to scheduling an appointment, then I would actually schedule that appointment for that discovery meeting while I'm on the call with them. And when I do that, that's when it's going to kick over to the automation part. So what we're going to do is I'm going to, again, pretend that I've gone through and we have that qualification call and I say, yes, they're qualified, and we set an appointment. Now I want to use an automation to kick off all this other stuff. So now that I have that calendar, they've booked time, we all got that figured out. Now we're going to go into automation. Let's create a new workflow, and we're going to go ahead and just start from scratch. We're just going to build a blank workflow so you can see this. So this is what workflow builders, if you're using a CRM tool right now, this is automation. Forget what that was called in Infusionsoft. Campaign builder, I think is what they called it. So this is just, again, a sample workflow. So I've got a bunch of different things that can kick off this workflow. And this is where customer booked appointment, that's just where your calendar functions could come in, where a customer booked an appointment. So this automation runs when a customer books an appointment, and I'm going to go ahead and add a filter. The status in calendar. So again, there's my discovery meeting calendar. So this is if somebody books that appointment in my calendar for a discovery meeting. Could close that guy. And then I'm going to go ahead and save trigger. So that right there can kick off this workflow. So if you're using some other type of scheduling tool, again, you come in here, you can use webhooks. There's a number of different ways that you're going to have to use to set this up with Zapier and things to kick off this automation if you wanted to do that. That's why I recommend using the calendar function baked right in here, so that if somebody does that automatically, that can go ahead and, like I said, that can kick off that automation for you. So if they book time on my calendar, or the other thing that I could do, if I happen to have, like, let's say this inbound lead comes in and I actually talk to them. Let's just pretend like this comes in on the phone. So now what I'm going to do is search for forms. So now, again, I probably have an admin or myself have filled out a form. So again, this is where Form Builder comes in. So the workflow trigger is a form was submitted, and then a form was submitted. Now we need to choose which form. The form is our lead intake form. So that could also, so those are the things that are going to trigger this campaign. Those two things right there. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick save. And now what I want to do is kick off the next part of this automation. So we've got a discovery meeting booked somehow, whether that's the customer did it or we filled out that form. Now we're going to kick off an automation. So now the next thing I need to do is add our first action. So right here is an email. So I'm going to go ahead and trigger an email. So first thing that's going to do is send them an email. And again, I'm just going to fill this out. So Joe's IT, Joe at MSP.com. Again, whatever you want it to say. And like this one, I'm just going to put appointment confirmation. You can create templates inside of GROWABLY if you want as well. So I'm going to say, dear, got custom values. So the user's first name. Thank you for booking a discovery call. And again, just going to type this for the sake of doing this demo. I look forward to meeting you and your team. You may have to use some automation to make this happen. That's where the custom values come in. So the calendar. So here's your appointment. Actually, no, we're going to remove the calendar first. We'll go to custom value, appointment. Again, you can choose to put these things in here, whether or not you want. I can put add to iCal, Google Calendar. Then you can sign it. Custom values. Actually, I did this wrong up here, so it's not username. So that one is contact first name. So contact first name. Thank you for booking a discovery meeting. I look forward to meeting you and your team. Below are the details of the meeting. Start time added to the calendar. I think that had to, yeah, the start date. Yeah, that's a start date time. So start date, start time, put it on their calendar, sign it. Save action. So that's the first step. Send a confirmation email. So that's step number one, to get that in there. So now what I need to do is send an introduction package. So that's where I recommended having these pre-made and have 5 or 6 of them ready to go on a shelf. So when a lead comes in, you can immediately go in or have an admin take care of this. So what I need to do is have a task that will trigger this. Send introduction package via FedEx. So now what I'm going to do is come in here and let's type in a task. I can add a task and call this send introduction package. Title of the task is send introduction package, and again you can use custom fields. Just send it to contact full name. So send introduction package to so and so, and again I can put in all the details for my admin right here. So if I've covered that, so I can do the full address. You can do full address. Contact city, comma. And again, doing this for the states. Those of you who are format this for state and zip code. Postal code. All right, so you can get as detailed in the task as you want for your admin or for yourself. So I need a task to get triggered to send an introduction package to John Smith. Here's John Smith's address, and I can assign that to whoever I want to assign it to. That could be an admin, it could be just anybody. So I'm going to assign it to myself, and I'm going to put it is due in 1 day. So my goal is as soon as somebody books an appointment to get that in the mail as soon as possible. So that is step number 2. Now I need another email to go out the day before. Great thing with GROWABLY is I can come to this confirmation email right here. So again, what I'm going to do here is put in a wait step. So I'm going to wait, let's just say 2 days. Again, you may have to adjust this depending on when you've set the appointment. I usually scheduled appointments 2 days out. And again, you can get super granular with when you want that to run on. So we'll just put this step is wait 2 days. I think we can, let me go see if we can do anything based upon a custom field. Yeah, I don't say it. So that's what we need to do is send out that wait step. And if I come over here, what I'm going to do is, rather than a lot of the same details in this email, also going to be in step number 8. So all I'm going to do is copy this one. I'm going to go ahead and copy. Let's close this window. So I'm going to copy this action. And then I'm going to scroll down here. I needed to wait 2 days. I want it to copy down here. And then what I can do is go in here and change again the details of the email if I need to customize any of that email. So again, this is the workflow: confirmation email, send introduction package. Admin's going to do that. Wait 2 days, confirmation email. And then the day of the appointment, again, another task. So we're going to call this, actually, let's do this. What I'm going to do is copy this one too, because I can go back and change it. I'm going to copy action and copy here. Oh, let's cancel that. Getting squirrely. I'm going to copy this, copy action, and copy down here. So actually, I'm going to remove this. So confirmation email is going to go out, and then this one I'm going to put appointment confirmation phone call. Confirm appointment with John Smith. Again, I can come in here, delete that, and then again I can use some of the custom fields from my appointment for my admin to have all of that detail right there. So start date and time. So again, you can get as many custom field details you want to your admin using that appointment. And then any notes that have been taken, you're going to assign that to your admin. It's due in 1 day, or you can say due immediately. You can do that right now. Save action. So that's going to create that admin. So let's go check in the chat. All Mixed Up 331 says, is there any way to know what the date of the appointment is so you can set those wait timers to be an appointment day minus 2 days, for example? Or is that what you were trying to look up earlier? Yeah, there is a way to do that. Come back and see if I can find it. Just trying to think off the top of my head. See if it's in math. Nope. Let's see. There is a way to do that. All Mixed Up. I'm just trying to think of what it is off the top of my head. Can't think of it. Where is that at? Yeah, there is a way to do that. But yeah, what I'm trying to emphasize here is that there's you want to get as much of this in automation. Have Growably do the work for you. I might cover that on a separate one, but yeah, there is a way to do that where you have the appointment date and have it set based upon that date. I'm just trying to think my brain's thinking still Infusionsoft. There's a way to do it. The wait action. Yeah, let's go see that. Thank you, Westway IT. Let's see if there is in the wait step. So now you got me curious. Now I know that there's a way to do it. I'm just, like I said, my brain's thinking Infusionsoft land. Westway IT, if you can see it in here, if you just ping me on, like I'm just not seeing it for some reason. I think maybe it's there. Change the time delay drop down. Just cancel that. Ah, there it is. I knew it was there. So yes, to answer your question, all mixed up ATs, so you can set it based upon an avoid. I knew it was there, just not seeing it. So you're gonna wait 2 days, wait for. You can see you can do before, after, exact, and then move them to. You can exact set up exactly what happens. So, thank you so much. I knew it was there, just not seeing it. Teamwork makes the dream work. All right, cool. Those of you who are still hanging out with me, Lori. Lori jumped the gun, so she just got a head start. She knew what was coming next. I guess I'm too predictable. So the next first person, so I'm gonna give Lori a t-shirt. The next first person, and bam, and they light up. The next person after Lori was Joshua Chamness. So thank you so much, everybody. MCS Tech, All Bits Tech, Mark Novak, Reef Dudes, Danny Chapo, Mark Novak are still on the call. So thank you guys. All right, so we'll give one to Lori since she jumped the gun, and then we'll also give one out to, who was that? Joshua Chamness as well. So Josh, good to see you on here as well. It must be a delay in YouTube. It possibly. Sorry. I'll see if I can get you one just for playing, Danny, since there is a delay. You come a couple times, so. Anyway, so basically that's it. You set up a workflow, and we're just going to call this, call it whatever you want, new lead workflow. Smash that save button. Don't forget this step too. Don't forget to publish it once you save it. Because if it's not published and somebody fills out, or the appointment trigger or the form is submitted, it won't go. So be sure to publish that when you're done. We got it all set. So that's the first part. The hard part is, like I said, getting everything into the CRM, getting it into Growably, setting off those triggers, setting off the appointments, getting all of that done. So the next part of the process is conducting that discovery meeting. This obviously can't be done inside of Growably, but you can if you have custom fields that you wanted to go in and populate after that audit is done. Certainly, by all means, do that. But you could do the same thing when when you're conducting that discovery meeting and somebody agrees to that next step, then you can schedule them. So you can set up different types of automations, especially for that as well. Maybe a competition bot tool like used on Twitch to randomly pick a winner. That's actually a good idea. See, this is that we will do that next month. We'll figure out a way to take everybody who registered. The hard part is anybody who showed up live, like getting them built in. But I will look to see if I can do a random winner picker. The tech leader, thank you for hanging out. Appreciate that. Told you this was going to be an epic live stream, but we just condensed 2 calls down to 1 this month because I wanted to be able to answer calls. So if you can go back again, I'm going to timestamp this video. Thank you to those who are still hanging out live. So again, you're going to steps 12 and 13. Step number 12 can be done inside of GROWABLY. You can set up a different workflow here for that appointment, and then obviously conducting the network audit. You'll have tools that probably aren't inside of GROWABLY as well. I may pick a random number on streams, blows up the chat. Oh, that lots of good ideas. I'm taking notes, guys and girls. Okay, we'll come up with a way that's so yes. All right. Let's see, where were we? So again, conducting the network audit, doing your findings report. Some of that's going to be manual work, scheduling the presentation. You can do lots of similar things, with that. If you wanted to do a workflow for scheduling the findings report, conducting the meeting. But my main goal is here is after that meeting's over, did I get a yes or no? If I got a no and I run everyone through this process, then what I'm probably going to do is add them to a drip campaign. And usually I come from the Infusionsoft world. What I typically would do at this point is add a tag to that contact. So let's pick out Han Solo here. And then I would add a tag. So you may not have this in there, but you can add them right here. Add to drip campaign. I'm going to go ahead and add that tag. So that's what I would do, is just come in here to Han Solo after that meeting's over, put him in the drip campaign. And then you're probably wondering, okay, what happens after that point? If you do email newsletters, that type of thing, I would come in here and create another automation. And let's just call this one Add to Drip Campaign. And then let's just see here with the contact tag. When a tag is added, and we're going to go and select that tag, Add to Drip Campaign. So when anybody gets that tag, I can go in here and create whatever automation that I want. I can put them on a drip sequence series, whatever you want. So if you do an email newsletter, you could have them go into a campaign to add them to that. So especially with like the Tech Tribe's email series, you may have an email series that can go out to people that are not a good fit at that time, or decided, okay, we're not going to go ahead and move forward at that point. It's too expensive, whatever it is. Put them into some type of drip campaign so you can keep tabs on them. How many of you do a print newsletter? You have one absolutely free, by the way, in Tech Tribe. How many of you actually do a print newsletter? If you're watching this on the replay, put that in the comments too. I'm going to try to tally that up just to see who's doing a print newsletter. I didn't for the longest time. I was like, okay, email's cheaper. So I kind of pushed against this for a long time, but when I started doing that, we actually did end up winning some business back, by the way. So let's see here. Joshua said, can the forms look up information in the CRM? I am looking at creating an internal form that could use to update the tag for drip campaign instead of having to go into GROWABLY. Yeah, if you have a custom field, you can have it look up. So the forms can actually, let's go back in here. So Joshua asked that question, can the forms look up information in the CRM? Yes. Let's go ahead and confirm this. Let's go back to sites, forms, like my lead intake form. It can look up any custom fields. It can also look up tags as well. Yeah, so there's that add to drip campaign right there. So I could actually have that on an internal form that will look that information up. So you could do it on an internal form to answer your question. Hopefully that answers your question. Let's see here. So would it be good to introduce them with a few presets into drip emails before dropping them into the main email list? You might try it. Typically at that point, like I said, they already know who you are. That's where I was talking about the print newsletter. What I would typically do, especially for somebody who may have told me, hey, it's just too much money. It's more than what we expected. Just to give you, for instance, I did have one prospect that we actually did. I proposed 2 different times to, and both times they told me it was too much and chose a different provider. The long and short of it is I kept sending them my email or my print newsletter. It would show up in a giant bright orange envelope like this mic cover. And finally, I got a call from the CEO, and he's like, look, I get your email, I get your print newsletter every single month. We've gone through the process and not chose you because of price twice in the past. We're going to choose you. I get this print newsletter. We want to do business with you. Come in here so we can get something done. So that's where that print newsletter is much more valuable than an email, because likely he deleted every other email that I sent him. Let's see here. So Pam says she sends that out. Reef Dude says nada. Altex says email only, soon to start using social. So it's just a small pitch for doing a print newsletter. By the way, I didn't send thousands of these. To give you a for instance, I would try to keep my print newsletter list to 150. 150. What I did is I got, trying to think of the service we used. I got some envelopes from envelopes.com, bright orange envelopes. You can actually have part of it, or return address was pre-printed on the envelope. Between Uprinting, the letter Uprinting.com is who we used. We would do a full printed newsletter that I would fold it in half, put it inside the envelope, mail that out. So with postage, the newsletter, the stamp, and the envelope, we were all in for, I want to say it was like $1. It's probably a little more than that now. So everything added up to, I think it was $2. Everything added up to $2 per person. We would do a list of 150. I would keep that at 150. So my print email was $300 a month. So just something to think about. Westway IT said Stamp can send out A4 or folded A3 newsletters, print and post in the UK and US. So again, there's a great resource, but start small. And especially I knew that there was just something about certain prospects that I knew that I could potentially win in the future. So I would put them on my drip email or drip newsletter, whatever you want to call it. You could put that tag as a print newsletter, and that way your admin has a list. They just print that list out every single month. That's what I would send to. Pam said clients and prospects often keep the newsletters if it has good information in it. Exactly. They're more likely to delete an email or a social media post. The print newsletter, like I said, let me put this in was uprinting.com. So uprinting.com is what we used. I gotta put that up on the screen. So if I would do, I think it was 11 by 17. I would get them, folded. All I would do is fold them in half. So they would fold them into the newsletter format. I would fold them in half so they fit inside of I think it was a 6x9 envelope. Again, UK is going to be a little bit different. But the print newsletter was $1 a piece. So again, the cost was super cheap. You have, by the way, all of you folks have access to, let's go back in here. By the way, if you're not aware, you all have access to inside the marketing packs. The July marketing pack is out, by the way. So you download the zip. So there is a printed newsletter for you. A premium printed newsletter is all done for you. So you can edit it in Canva. I mean, it's just... You folks have access to all of this. So let me just click use template. I'm not logged in, so... Figures is going to do two-step verification. So anyway, but you have access to a printed newsletters already done for you. All you literally have to do is go in and change a few things. And by the way, there is a customized global settings, so you can update your logo, all that good fun stuff. So Doy said the 9x16 is harder to find. I found a local newspaper to be the best. Yeah, check out uprinting.com. Anyway, Zero Limit, thank you for hanging out. You have a wonderful weekend as well. But anyway, just something to think about as you're going through. So that is your sales process here that you go through. If they say yes or no, then you do the letter of intent, then it goes to onboarding. But you have access to this entire process. You can automate as much as you feel you can automate inside of GROWABLY. But especially the top part of this, the ongoing reaches. Once the lead is already into the CRM, then you can do anything you want with it. You can add them to campaigns. You can add them to drip sequences. You can actually do anything you want. And I think that is super cool that you have the ability to do that. Absolutely part of your Tech Tribe membership for $49, which is absolutely nuts to me. So I'm going to preempt that one more time. First person to put in t-shirt in the comments gets a free t-shirt. It's our last giveaway of the day. Winner, winner. Who's it going to be? Oh, Westway IT hanging out, hanging out. All contributing. Sorry, Danny, All Bits Tech, Annika, Mark, Double Dang. I'm going to go back through the comments and see if I can get our fearless leader to maybe, we'll see. I might be able to get some of you folks some swag just for hanging out, especially hour and 45 minutes. I knew we would go a little bit long on this because I wanted to break down exactly how to do this, answer questions, build it with you inside of GROWABLY, and do some hard work, get our hands dirty. But yeah, did you find this type of training useful? Let me know in the comments. What was your number one takeaway from today? Those of you who are still hanging out. If you're watching this on the replay, let me know in the comments. What was your number one takeaway from this training? What training would you like us to see in the future? But yes, we're going to be doing this type of training going forward rather than the standard GROWABLY calls we've done over the past year. So, Lori, thank you. I will see you tomorrow. I'll be helping Lori set up her new studio. All Bits Tech, thank you for hanging out. Danny Chapo, thank you for hanging out. She said, yep, I can dump Once Hub for appointment scheduling. I like the SOP kind of stuff. Awesome. Awesome. Love the automations. It's like Keep, but affordable. Yeah, $49. Unlimited users, by the way, Pam. That was my big thing with Infusionsoft. You pay for how many contacts you have in there. You have unlimited contacts with GROWABLY. So just keep that in mind. So when you start adding that up, it can get pretty expensive with all the CRM tools out there. So Mark, thank you for hanging out. All Mixed Tech, All Mixed Up 331. Thank you. Angela Birchfield, good stuff. The automation is game changer. Like I said, you can get in there and have so much fun and automate the crap out of stuff. But yeah, go back through, take that process and make it your own. But again, you have access to that. And by the way, if you caught us late, we're going to have access to that full PDF for you inside the post, inside the Tech Tribe forum. Awesome. Thank you, Jeff, for hanging out. Reef Dudes, thank you for hanging out. MCS Pam says Dynamite. I remember that show. What was the name? JJ? Dynamite.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Awesome. Also said, I agree, more SOP content. So awesome. We're doing things wrong. Shouldn't focus so much on follow-up processes. I was thinking instead book meetings so that they're set and be present in a meeting. Yes. Yes. Good takeaway. Mark said, came to this a little bit late, but we'll rewatch from the beginning. Like I said, as soon as this is done, I'm going to take a break and then go back in and try to timestamp the video. Pat, thank you for hanging out. Doy, thank you for hanging out. Annika said, strange enough, it's the calendar and GROWABLY, so useful for me. So, yes. Is there a sample letter of intent in the tribal library? I'll have to go back and see if we did post that. If not, I will post that with this inside the Tech Tribe forums. But I was trying to think of where we had put that, but I remember Nigel and I going through that letter of intent. So anyway, I'll get that made up for you. So look for that either, in this original post for this month's live stream. So John said, expect to see you in that t-shirt at the next Tech Tribe meeting. So awesome. And there's lots of tribal meetings going up. MCS, thank you for hanging out. All right, folks, guys and girls, that's going to wrap it for me today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Lots of great feedback. We got 609 comments today, so maybe we'll bust 1,000 next month. So if you haven't done so already and you're watching this on LinkedIn or someplace else, jump over to the Tech Tribe, like and subscribe to the Tech Tribe YouTube channel. Daniel, good to see you, my friend. Haven't talked to you in a while. Late to access, but he's going to watch the replay. Like I said, as soon as I'm done, I'm going to take a short break and then go through and timestamp. So if you're watching this over on YouTube, you can go back to the Tech Tribe YouTube channel. I'm going to put the timestamp so you could jump right to certain parts of what we talked about today. So thank you again for joining me. Look forward to next month. We have so much for. I'm probably going to have Andrea on next month. So a new member success, director of member success, Andrea Welch, good friend of mine that goes back 10 years. She'll be back with us. She took a short vacation, but hopefully have her on here. Superior marketing mind. Lots of great things coming for you Tech Tribe members. If you're watching this and have no idea what the Tech Tribe is, link is in the description wherever you happen to be watching from. Join the Tech Tribe. There's so many resources you have access to. All that for less than $50 a month, which is absolutely insane. But thank you to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, all of you IT folks who make the world continue to run day in and day out. Our very underappreciated role that you serve. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. It will always be near and dear to my heart. That's why I give back to the community that has done so much for me. So that is going to wrap it for me, folks. Thank you again for hanging out with me live, those of you who joined me. And be sure to like and subscribe so you get notifications, and also look for that inside the tribal forums for our next live stream. Take care. As I always end every live stream, always be humble and kind, and always do what is necessary. See ya.